Um, um, so I've woken feeling a bit better, um, and that has a lot to do with coming up with plans that I think will be pretty, will refining existing plans that I think will pretty much assure my death should I attempt them, because I can't fuck around anymore. When I make an attempt and I survive an attempt, as I've said, it's not a cry for help, because that is the help. That is the help. There is no other help. I have to escape, because the sources of help harm me, and I end up in a worse position, really. Last time someone called an ambulance for me when I wanted them to call the police. The police are obviously my enemy, but what was being done to me was criminal, and I just thought, you never know, you might get a police officer who or a police unit who's going to actually know the law and to enforce the law. But anyway, what happened then is that I went to hospital. I got no fucking sleep. I was kicked out at 11:30 to sleep at night, to sleep on a bus shelter in my pyjamas with a hospital sheet on a cold night with a low of 7. It's not like anything good happens when I try to kill myself. It's not like anyone rushes to my rescue. I just get put in a worse position, basically. So my out has to be my out, and I've said many, many times before that one of the most horrible things in the world, one of the most horrible problems to solve is, how do I fucking die? Because I've started to think that I'm fucking immortal. I've done things that I'm gobsmacked that have left me alive, but of course, I've left chances, and I seem to just fucking, hit the target of survival each time, no matter how small it is. So, I'm sort of getting that. I'm thinking it through, and I'm thinking I think I've got some ways that I just can't fail. And I'm not feeling better because I've got a solution. Like, there's a lot of people who often feel who appear more cheerful, and people around them, I don't have anyone around me, but people around them think they're getting better, but they're not. It's just that they've made a decision to die, and that gives them a sense of peace. My decision to die has not given me a lot of peace, partly because I don't want to die, and partly because I don't know how to do it, and it's demoralising, having failed 5 times. But what has happened is that I know that I don't have to be homeless again. Yeah. So that's really what my plan is about, and I don't trust the court to. I'm not saying I have anything personal against the particular judge hearing the case. I have no idea who it is. I don't even know if they've been assigned. I don't know anything about the court process. But my experience, as minor as it's been, and quite reasonably substantial with the tenancy tribunal adjudicators, and as I've said, I haven't seen a lot of difference in behaviour between tenancy tribunal adjudicators and court case review judges. who are judges and other, they're not, they're court, proper court judges as well. I don't think the truth speaks for itself. I really don't. And I am going to put the truth together, but if I find it taxing, then I'm not going to do it. And then if I'm not prepared on the day, then I'll make my decision about what to do about that, because I'm not putting myself in danger again. And as I've said, I'm in every day that I'm alive, I'm in danger. So what I'm going to do is I am going to start to put I've sent loads and loads, and I've sent all of my disclosure that I'm aware of to police prosecution, not to Victoria Hicks herself, because I only recently got her email address, which is fucked up, because I am my counsel and I should be communicating with the fucking prosecutor, and I've had nothing from the prosecutor. She doesn't reply. Or from PPS or from anybody. CGSU's pretended that it's disclosing information to me, so basically whatever. I've got a lot of meta level evidence, and the meta level is basically the prosecuting side misbehaving, to say the very least. And so that's going on the file, even though veracity and propensity, which is what I keep going on about, and no one in the legal system seems to understand what I'm fucking talking about. It's the Evidence Act, sections 38 and 40 of the Evidence Act. No one seems to have ever heard of the Evidence Act. I tend to think that the charge of resisting arrest ought to be heard separately, because it's a big deal, because it's not my job to prove that it didn't happen, and it's very difficult to prove a negative. As I said, I stopped recording what was happening when the police arrived, because I naively assumed that they would that they would help me. But Mitchell was very sure that they wouldn't, and Mitchell, as I say, is a very stupid, arrogant man. So it could just be his stupid arrogance, or it could be that he knew. Because they are working for Harcourts. Or that little hardcore of them are. And he was also, doing a long con on me, psychologically manipulating me, and then coming to my side, and then telling me I was wrong, and then telling me I was right, and just doing all of that stuff that grubby people do. And I have wondered if his, contract with me to move in with him for a couple of months while I moved out and worked on my tenancy tribunal stuff, wasn't just part of a ploy to kick me out. And of course he's the defendant, not the defendant, he's the prosecuting, I keep forgetting what they're called. He's not the prosecutor, he's the, what are they, why can't I remember the term? Like, he's the complainant. Maybe that's what he is, I don't know. But it's police who, filed the charges. And so I'm not going to go down that path trying to talk. I mean, people, this the saying speaking truth to power, but no one recommends speaking truth to a brick wall, so I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to, it's an open court, so I assume that, well, I believe it's an open court. So I believe that I can openly give my evidence over YouTube. And so I think that I'm going to film a lot of my process of putting my evidence together. I think I'm going to record that. And so whether or not I'm alive to attend the hearing, the evidence will somehow get there. I don't think it's going to get there through CMM or GAT because they've gone silent as well. It's amazing how many people are just knocked silent. You know, that's the big thing that tips me off is when people go silent, and it means they're not doing their job. So, and also whatever goes on the judge file doesn't mean that the judge is going to look at it. And so I'm just going to make sure that the evidence is out here. Maybe no one will ever pay attention. I feel like I really do feel like an outlaw. I feel like I'm on the outside. I think I'm not being paranoid. I'm just making an observation that I can't raise interest anywhere. I can't raise interest anywhere, and I don't want to say this is a like a nationwide conspiracy, because that is utterly implausible. But whatever it is, I have not been able to crack any interest from anybody. But nonetheless, the court will see the truth, and so will others. And there's a possibility that others will take some interest after I'm dead. As I've said, you know, if I do die, it depends on my circumstances and what people allow me to have of my life. At the moment, they're not allowing me to have a life, and as I've said, I'm not going to be homeless again. And the reason I'm not going to be homeless again is not because I'm going to have a home; it's because I'm not going to be around to be homeless. That's my bottom line. I have speculated that media can't pick up cases where the person disclosing is suicidal. I think there's a law against it. But there's no law against reporting on suicides, especially after horrific harassment from government departments, and including police, well, especially police. So yeah, I'm as I've said, I believe that I've sent all of my disclosure to PPS. I've had no response. PPS knows absolutely what the statements they're putting forward from their witnesses, their colluders. That's Mitchell and the two bent cops. That's all the evidence that they've got, and that's not witnesses, that's collusion. It's a conspiracy, because they're not independent parties, right? It's not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of fact. They are not independent parties, and the police have not treated the case as an investigation. They've treated it as an attack on the victim. They've never investigated. They've never interviewed me. I've had no look into the process. Documents have been filed on my behalf. They've been half filled in. I've looked at the PPS, not PPS, the Criminal Procedure Act, and I've looked at the memorandum, and I'm like, that's missing. I haven't had the opportunities to do things that prosecution is supposed to do, and prosecution is me, represented by counsel, but now I'm defence, not prosecution. Defence is allowed to do all sorts of things, and no one's ever consulted me. My signature's not on things that have been submitted to court. Um, you know, I've fired lawyers. I fired 2 lawyers by leaving legal aid, and I've been ditched by 3. Well, I've been ditched by 2. Well, it's more complicated than that, but Chris Nolan ditched me, and then 2 others had good reason to. April Callan never knew that she was assigned to me. I mean, for God's sake, the Legal Services Commission is. I really hope that they're all volunteers, because they cannot be making money out of this. It's not fair. And legal aid, have just been breaking laws left, right and centre. Imagine assigning a brand new, totally wide-eyed, fucking freaking out, first arrestee, first time in court. Imagine assigning her to a lawyer who doesn't know, without telling the lawyer. Imagine doing that. And then, as I said, PDS was conflicted, and I had a really nice counsel, and I think that she was going to be really good for me, but the real fucked up thing about PDS is if it's the particular lawyer herself was not conflicted, but she works for a massive public department that had once represented one of the people who's accused me, and is represented by PDS, not PPS, that's police. And that's ridiculous. It's like you have got, if there's ever, I mean, for God's sake, government is siloed all over the show when it shouldn't be. If there's ever a reason to silo a government department, it's PDS, when there's someone once upon a time represented a client who's now on the prosecuting side. It's like, it's fucking ridiculous, mate. Like, I'm not saying that they're guilty just because they're represented, but why the fuck should that punish me? Because it doesn't mean that I cannot be represented by PDS, but it does mean that PDS has got one hand tied behind its back, and that is not fair. That is not justice. She had nothing to do with them. All it means is that she can't. So she can question witnesses and so forth, but she can't cross-examine them, and that's a really, really, really big deal. And I kind of wanted to keep her anyway, but she really recommended that I didn't. And that was her, I truly believe, her honest opinion, because she really seemed to care about me. But, she really did. What kind of judge a character am I? None, but she really did. And then passed me on to someone who appears to be completely idle, who's just was not interested in working whatsoever. And I'm gonna organise my emails so far. I haven't figured out how to do it yet. So not my emails, my YouTube posts. I'm not sure how to organise it yet, because they really need cross-referencing. But I think for the purposes of this, especially if these are the last days of my life, then I think I'm going to organise them in a way that is going to be a legal trail. So you know, I've got sort of categories called abuse and that kind of thing, and as I've mentioned, I've been making videos of me falling apart, which is something that I consciously have to do, because you know, if anyone's seen the video of me trying to get through yesterday to get some fucking help that was promised me through mental health services, not from mental health services, but unfortunately they're the conduit, they're the gatekeepers, and it's not mental health help as such, but it's a residence that people can go into to receive trauma support, which they desperately need. I don't want mental health help because it's not mental. That's not. It's not a dictionary definition. It's not a denotation. It's a. Okay, I love how my alarm just decides that it's time to end the video. So, this is part 2. Yeah, so whatever things are labelled, can you please I just wish people stops going, well, it's called crisis resolution. It's like, it could be called fucking purple bananas. It's just a fucking name. It doesn't matter what it's called. They're fucking horrible, and but you know, my alarm interrupted me. You know, you can see the difficulty that I'm getting trying to get any fucking help. So, fuck, what was my point? It was a good point. God damn it. Anyway, so basically what I'm trying to say is you know, I've given all the disclosure that I have to PPS. I don't have to do disclosure as the defendant, but I've done disclosure because I wasn't represented at that time, and I thought, look, I'm just gonna expose everything, and I think it's gonna look mighty suspicious in court, since PPS has had all this disclosure, and it doesn't have any fucking comeback to any of it as far as the disclosure is given to me, and by law it has to give me the disclosure I ask for, if not just front up with everything that it has after my plea is entered, if it's a non-guilty plea, not guilty plea. So I expect Hicks to ambush me with some bullshit. But I've got truth, and so I'm going to do my disclosure here, and that's going to include going through emails that I've sent already and reading them out. Sorry, I know why I was saying about a mental health thing. So yeah, a lot of my videos were, a lot of them, like, I haven't been able to organise a lot of stuff. I'm a very organised person, but you know, my Dropbox is a mess. Like, a lot of my file systems are just a total mess because I'm just so broken. But yeah, a lot of my videos about just my breakdowns, I've had to make myself record them because, as I was saying to stupid bitch at fucking crisis resolution or whatever yesterday, like, I cannot, as an SB and as a traumatised person, I cannot perform in front of a clinicians in a clinical assessment. And to be honest, I don't think that anyone really does. I don't know how that's a good system to find out what someone's like. When you get an autism assessment, generally, I had mine done in Hillmorton, and that was, I wasn't aware I was being assessed, but of course you're there to be observed, and the observation came out from 3 different doctors that there is a strong indication of autism, and then I ended up getting that diagnosis. But generally, like, if you get an autism diagnosis, you don't just go and sit there and talk to a clinician. The clinician actually participates in you, like they come and observe you socialising with people and that kind of thing. Now you've still got the observer's paradox, but they're at least seeing you in vivo. They're not just going on self-reports. And I can't do a self-report where I'm falling apart because I can't fall apart in front of people unless I'm really in a really bad shape. So I have been, as I've said, I started, you know, sort of recording when I'm falling apart because I have to have something to show a clinician. But it has to be a clinician that's willing to see videos, because you hear these stupid things like, I want to hear it in your own words, and it's like, what the fuck do you think bawling my eyes out is? You know, that's my own words, and show, don't tell, right? So I had those kind of earmarked for a separate purpose, but I think I'm going to put it all on one kind of timeline. Unfortunately, I don't seem to be able to organise YouTube videos by name, and I do start all of my videos by, well, pretty much virtually all of my videos by date, and I start with the year, then the month, then the day, because that's, you know, that's perfect for chronological sorting. But what am I going to do? I'm going to put it all in one sort of timeline that can be put together later. Yeah, so no one has to watch this, but that's what I have to say. So I will probably keep updates, and when I figure out how to sort everything and what sort of playlist to put it in, I'll update, and that means I don't have to keep sending individual emails. I can sort of, you know, when I send my evidence out, it can be in one folder. And then if I really feel like pushing the boat out, then I will put it all into I bought a big flash drive for this purpose. I don't know if it's big enough for everything that I've got on record, but I've got other methods, and, you know, I can put things on DVDs and send them out and that kind of thing as well. So anyway, if people watch this or they don't, it's not of much interest to me. All I'm hoping is that I do my bit in taking the cops down, because now that I live in this sort of underworld, it's not a criminal underworld, it's a victim underworld, and no one believes us. And I've cancelled my appointment with my GP this week because I'm sick of her periodically telling me, Caitlin, no one's out to get you. I mean, she knows that I've got legal abuse syndrome. She knows that, you know, she does know that I have been bullied, but she doesn't understand that the chronic chain link, and it's not just they wait turns to bully me. I often have 3 bullies on me at one time, and they are, you know, they turn to legal abuse because that's a really big way that you can't escape. Like, people talk about just walk away from narcissists. A narcissist appears to be a catch-all term for all abusers, whether they meet the clinical threshold for narcissism at all, or if they exceed it into, well exceed it into sociopathy. Psychopathy, sorry, they just call them all narcissists, and we might as well just use that as a generic term for abusers. They don't wait turns to abuse. Like, I've, you know, and the thing is that once that, you know, like the wisdom is just to minimise contact with them and then slowly distance yourself. You can't do that when they've got you in the grips of court, and even civil court. I mean, I didn't attend that fucking bullshit hearing with Lauren and Don, but nonetheless, they've got a restraining order against me based on absolute lies, like I threatened to decapitate Lauren, and that came from police, and police know that I did not threaten to decapitate Lauren. They know that because they were copied into the email that I sent to Lauren, in which I said something completely different. And I'm going to read those emails out as much as I can. So that's, I'm not going to do anything I don't want to do. This is my time, and I'm going to spend my time how I want to. And the way I want to spend my time at the moment is just by, in a relaxed way, just exposing criminals and namely police, and I'm not going to bust a gut, but it's just going to be my nice project. And the thing is, because I'm in survival mode, and that's a trauma response, I don't know how to relax. Like last night, I had an early night. I was really fucking tired, really tired, because all of this takes. It doesn't matter, like for fatigue disorders, and especially for stress-caused fatigue disorders. And stress exacerbates chronic fatigue syndrome as it is, which I may or may not have. As I've said, I've only had half a workup because I shifted DHBs before I could finish that process, because a workup is a very thorough assessment. It's a pity the name is so casual, because it's a thorough assessment. Stress is very, very, very tiring. And I think the reason that I'm not getting much out of walks these days, or I don't feel the benefit of a walk, is because if I've been through the fucking ringer like I was yesterday, going for a walk is the opposite of what I need. I need rest, but I also, for my brain, even though I don't feel better, I know that I need to just get a change of scenery and then come back home. But I'm absolutely exhausted, and I think I'm going to be spending the next few days in bed. I'm not. I think that's just gonna be how it works. Yes, so watch this space. Full disclosure coming. I hope to start with reading out my most recent emails, but I will also be looking at what I've previously sent, PPS as disclosure. As I said, I'm just going to do what I want, but what I want to do is formulate some sort of timeline of the abuse. And I don't know how far to go back, and I don't know how much to include, because I say there have been contemporaneous attacks on me at once, and my GP just says patronisingly, which I'm really disappointed by, because that's not the kind of person she is. Not everyone's trying to harm you, Caitlin, and it's like, I know not everyone's trying to harm me. As I said to her, I don't need everyone to try to harm me for constant harm to be happening to me. This is serial victimisation, and it's a real thing. It's a real thing, and it happens to people who have been abused in childhood, as I have been, and who just cannot form proper relationships with other people because of it. The relationships that I tend to form with people are predators. You'd think that I am more savvy because of being raised by abusers, but for some reason, I don't know why, it also just makes me more blind to the tactics that are used on me. I pick up on them very quickly, but that's after I've already fallen into the hole, and I'm like, oh, I astutely identify that I'm in a hole, which isn't very helpful. Anyway, watch this space.